Nathan Ellis adjusted his glasses nervously as he paced his small apartment. The university's international housing coordinator had called yesterday with an emergency. They needed someone to host an exchange student whose accommodations had fallen through. Nathan, an assistant professor of astronomy at Westlake University, valued his solitude above all else. But his department chair had made it clear that volunteering would be highly appreciated during his upcoming tenure review. "It's just for one semester," Nathan muttered to himself. Moving a stack of astronomy journals from the coffee table, "I can manage anything for 4 months." The doorbell rang precisely at 3 p.m. Nathan opened the door to find a young woman with striking features and slender with unusual violet eyes that seemed to shimmer in the afternoon light. Her dark hair had an almost purple tint when the sun hit it, and her smile seemed both friendly and somehow mysterious. "Hello, I am Lyra," she said, her accent impossible to place. "You must be Professor Ellis. Thank you for welcoming me into your home." Nathan awkwardly helped her with her single, oddly lightweight suitcase. "You can call me Nathan. The guest room is down the hall. It's not much, but I hope it'll be comfortable." Lyra moved with a peculiar grace, studying everything in the apartment with intense curiosity. "This dwelling is most satisfactory," she declared, running her fingers over his collection of astronomy books with unusual interest. "So, what are you studying?" Nathan asked, tempting small talk as he showed her the kitchen. "I am researching human cultural patterns and social behaviors," Lyra replied, watching intently as Nathan filled a glass with water. "My particular interest is in how humans form connections, despite their emotional limitations." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "That's a bit harsh. We're not all emotionally limited." Lyra's face softened. "I meant no offense. My translation sometimes lacks ... subtlety." She accepted the water and drank it with an expression of surprise. "This is purer than expected." That night, Nathan was awakened by strange melodic humming coming from Lyra's room. When he knocked gently, the sound abruptly stopped. "Is everything okay in there?" he called. The door opened to reveal Lyra in what appeared to be silk pajamas with an unusual geometric pattern. "I apologize for disturbing your sleep cycle. I was performing my evening meditation at 3 a.m. The lunar position is optimal at this time," she stated matter-of-factly. "Do humans not align their practices with celestial movements?" Nathan sighed. "Not typically, no. Could you perhaps meditate a bit more quietly?" The following morning, Nathan discovered Lyra in his study. Examining his telescope with intense fascination, "This equipment is quite primitive," she observed when she noticed him. Yet charming in its simplicity. Nathan felt oddly defensive. "That's a professional-grade Celestron Edge HD. It's one of the best consumer telescopes available." Lyra smiled enigmatically. "Of course, I meant no criticism. I am merely accustomed to different observational methods." Over breakfast, Nathan noticed more peculiarities. Lyra examined each blueberry before eating it. She avoided the toaster as if it might bite, and she kept consulting a small device that looked like a smartphone but didn't quite match any model Nathan recognized. "Is this your first time in the United States?" Nathan asked cautiously. Lyra looked up, her violet eyes meeting his. "This is my first time on," she paused, clearing her throat. "In this region, yes. Everything is new and fascinating. I hope you will help me understand your world better, Nathan Ellis." Nathan had the distinct feeling that this semester was going to be much longer than he anticipated. 2 weeks into their living arrangement, Nathan was still adjusting to Lyra's peculiar habits. She slept only 4 hours a night, spent hours staring at plants as if communicating with them, and had a tendency to stand too close during conversations, studying his facial expressions with scientific intensity. "You're doing it again," Nathan said one evening as they prepared dinner together. "Doing what?" Lyra tilted her head, those violet eyes catching the kitchen light. "The staring thing. It's a bit uncomfortable." Nathan chopped vegetables, keeping his eyes on the cutting board. "I apologize." She paused. "Where I come from, observing is considered respectful. We believe understanding comes from careful attention." Nathan softened. That's actually kind of nice. Just maybe blink occasionally. Lyra laughed, a melodic sound that made Nathan smile despite himself. I will practice my blinking. Their biggest challenges came from Lyra's complete unfamiliarity with basic household items. She'd flooded the bathroom by leaving the water running, had examined the refrigerator's interior for 20 minutes as if it contained scientific specimens, and consistently confused the television remote with the air conditioning. Control. How does someone your age not know how a microwave works? Nathan asked after she'd pressed every button at once, causing a small electrical surge. My community lives very traditionally, Lyra explained, examining the appliance with genuine wonder. These technologies are new to me. One evening, Nathan returned home to find Lyra in the living room, surrounded by his astronomy books and journals. Pages spread everywhere. What are you doing? He asked, struggling to keep irritation from his voice. Your star maps are inaccurate, she said without looking up. This constellation configuration is incorrect. Nathan picked up one of his prestigious astronomy journals. These are peer-reviewed publications from the top astrophysicists in the world. Lyra finally looked up, her expression earnest. The universe is constantly changing. What was true yesterday may not be true today. That's not how stars work, Nathan countered. Some of these constellations have been mapped for centuries. Lyra gathered the papers quickly. Of course. I misspoke. I meant to say that. Different cultural perspectives see different patterns. She pointed to a star chart. Where I come from, we would see this grouping as the Great Healer, not your. Bear Dipper, Big Dipper, Nathan corrected. Increasingly suspicious about where exactly Lyra came from. That night, Nathan couldn't sleep. He opened his laptop and searched for information about Lyra's home university, only to find minimal records of any exchange program matching her description. Just as he was about to dig deeper, his screen flickered and suddenly displayed only an error message. From down the hall, he heard Lyra's melodic humming begin again. As October turned to November, a record-breaking cold front hit the city. Nathan added extra blankets to the guest room, noticing how Lyra had begun wearing multiple layers, even indoors. Are you always this sensitive to cold? He asked as she huddled under a blanket on the couch. Shivering despite the heater running. My home climate is considerably warmer, she explained, her normally vibrant skin looking paler. Your planet's eye, mean. This region's temperature fluctuations are difficult for my physiology. Nathan pretended not to notice her slip. These moments were happening more frequently, and he found himself cataloging them, building a mental file of evidence that pointed to an impossible conclusion. One evening, they sat together watching a documentary about space exploration. Nathan observed how Lyra alternated between amusement and concern at the program's speculations about alien life. Your scientists have such limited imagination, she commented. Life exists in forms they cannot conceive. And you're an expert on extraterrestrial biology? Nathan asked carefully. Lyra's eyes widened slightly before she composed herself. I merely think limiting our definition of life to carbon-based organisms requiring oxygen and water is short-sighted. Later that night, as the temperature dropped below freezing, Nathan was awakened by a soft knock on his bedroom door. He opened it to find Lyra standing there, wrapped in blankets, her skin having taken on a faint purple hue in the darkness. I apologize for the intrusion, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. But I cannot maintain adequate body temperature. My room's heating unit seems insufficient. Nathan hesitated only briefly before stepping aside. Come in. We can turn up the heat in here. My temperature regulation system is different, Lyra said, still shivering. I require proximity to another heat source. Understanding dawned on Nathan. You mean you need body heat? Lyra nodded, looking embarrassed. Where I come from, this is normal during cold cycles. We share thermal energy. It is not considered intimate, merely practical. Nathan felt his heart race as he considered the implications. You can share the bed. Just for warmth. As they lay in the darkness, separated by a careful distance that gradually diminished as Lyra unconsciously moved closer to his warmth, Nathan stared at the ceiling, his mind racing. The pieces were falling together, her strange knowledge of stars, the unfamiliarity with basic technology, her odd slips about planets and home climate. "Lyra," he whispered, uncertain if she was still awake. "Where are you really from?" There was a long silence, and Nathan thought she might have fallen asleep until he felt her shift beside him. "If I told you," she whispered back, "you wouldn't believe me. Or worse, you would." Her hand found his under the covers, her skin unusually smooth and much warmer now. Nathan interlaced his fingers with hers, making a decision in that moment not to push further tonight. Whatever the truth was, he realized with startling clarity that he cared about her too much to risk frightening her away. "I'm a scientist. Lyra, I believe in extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims." She squeezed his hand gently. "And if the evidence was lying right beside you?" The question hung in the air between them as they drifted to sleep. The first night of many they would spend seeking warmth in each other's company. Nathan awoke to find Lyra still asleep beside him. Her purple-tinged skin now returned to its more human-like appearance. In sleep, she looked peaceful. Almost normal if not for the faint luminescence that seemed to pulse beneath her skin with each breath. He carefully slipped out of bed, his mind still processing their conversation from the night before. At the university that morning, Nathan was surprised to find two men in dark suits waiting outside his office. They introduced themselves as Agents Miller and Decker from the Office of International Academic Relations, a department Nathan had never heard of. "We're conducting a routine check on exchange students," Agent Miller explained, his smile not reaching his eyes. "We understand you're hosting a student named Lyra." Nathan nodded cautiously. "Yes, she's staying with me this semester." "And how would you describe her behavior?" Agent Decker asked, studying Nathan's face carefully. "Normal," Nathan lied. "Studious, adjusting well to American culture." The agents exchanged glances. "We've noticed some irregularities in her documentation," Miller continued. "No birth country listed, no previous educational records we can verify. Maybe it's just administrative error," Nathan suggested, his heartbeat quickening. "Maybe," Decker replied skeptically. "We'd like to speak with her. When would be a good time to visit your residence?" Nathan texted Lyra immediately after the agents left. "Don't go home. Meet me at the observatory. Important." When Lyra arrived at the university's rooftop observatory that evening, her expression was worried. "What's happening?" "Some government agents were asking about you," Nathan explained. "They know something's off about your documentation." Fear flashed across Lyra's face. "This is exactly what I was warned about." She paced the small space, the starlight through the dome illuminating her anxious movements. "I should never have come here, Lyra," Nathan said gently, taking her hands in his. "I think it's time you told me the truth. All of it." She looked up at the stars visible through the observatory dome, then back at Nathan. "I am a xenobiologist from the planet Lumina in what you call the Andromeda Galaxy. I was sent here to study humans as part of my final research project." Her voice trembled slightly. "I was specifically interested in human bonding behaviors and emotional connections. Despite having suspected something like this, hearing her say it aloud was still shocking. That's why you're so interested in how people form relationships." Lyra nodded. "My species values knowledge and scientific exploration above emotional attachment. We consider your human capacity for deep connection both fascinating and somewhat enviable, and the purple skin." "My natural form," she admitted. "I use a molecular stabilizer to maintain a human appearance, but it fluctuates with temperature and energy levels." Nathan ran a hand through his hair, processing this information. "So I have an alien living in my apartment, government agents looking for you, and ... and I've broken at least 17 protocols by getting this close to my research subject," Lyra finished, looking at their still-joined hands. That night, they snuck back to the apartment to gather Lyra's belongings. As they packed her few possessions, Nathan noticed a small, crystal-like device among her things. "What's this?" he asked, reaching for it. "Don't touch that," Lyra warned, too late. As Nathan's fingers brushed the crystal, It illuminated brilliantly, projecting a three-dimensional star map across the room, showing solar systems and galaxies and configurations no human telescope had ever captured. Nathan stared in awe. "This is real, isn't it?" "All of it, yes," Lyra whispered, carefully taking the device from him. "This is my truth." For the next 2 weeks, Nathan and Lyra moved between motels and remote cabins, staying one step ahead of the agents who seemed increasingly determined to find them. During those days on the run, their connection deepened beyond anything Nathan had experienced before. In a small cabin deep in the mountains, Lyra finally showed Nathan her true form, the molecular stabilizer deactivated, revealing her luminescent purple skin, slightly more angular features, and eyes that seemed to contain galaxies within them. "You're beautiful," Nathan whispered, reaching out to touch her face. "On my planet, we don't have a concept of beauty," Lyra explained. "We value function, purpose, knowledge. Maybe that's why you came here," Nathan suggested. "To understand what you're missing." One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Lyra's communication device activated, projecting a holographic message from her research supervisor, a stern-looking being who spoke in a language of musical tones that Lyra translated for Nathan. "My extraction team arrives in 3 days," she explained after the message ended. "My research period is complete. I must return home." The realization hit Nathan like a physical blow. "You're leaving Earth?" "I must," Lyra said, her eyes reflecting the starlight above them. "My biological systems cannot maintain Earth compatibility indefinitely. And if I stay, your government will eventually find me." "What about us?" Nathan asked, the question revealing vulnerabilities he'd never shown anyone before. Lyra touched his face gently. "In my 3 months on your planet, I've learned more about connection than in my entire life on Lumina. The irony is that I came to study human attachment. It's only to experience it myself." "Then take me with you," Nathan suggested impulsively. Lyra's expression grew serious. "You wouldn't survive on Lumina. Our atmosphere, our gravity, our social structures all would be alien to you in ways you cannot imagine. So this is it? A research project concludes, and we just say goodbye?" The night before Lyra's extraction team was due to arrive, they returned to the rooftop observatory where they'd first shared their truths. The government agents had finally stopped searching for them, apparently giving up the hunt. "My people have a tradition," Lyra explained, taking something from her pocket, a small crystal similar to her star map device. "When we wish to remember something important, we create a memory crystal." She placed it in Nathan's palm. "I've encoded my memories of our time together. It will only activate for you." "Will I ever see you again?" Nathan asked, his voice barely audible. "The distance between our worlds is measured in millions of light years," Lyra said softly. "But my people are working on instantaneous transport technology. Perhaps someday, ... double quotes. As midnight approached, the sky above them began to shimmer with unusual light patterns that most would mistake for aurora borealis. Lyra looked up, her skin beginning to glow more intensely. "They're here," she whispered. Their final kiss was unlike any human experience. Ethan felt as if he was touching stardust, connecting with something beyond his understanding yet deeply familiar. "What I've learned from you," Lyra said, her form beginning to shimmer with the same light as the sky, "is that the greatest scientific discovery isn't in the stars or in distant galaxies. It's in connection. In warmth shared on cold nights. In choosing someone else's needs above your own." As she began to fade before his eyes, becoming translucent, Nathan clutched the memory crystal. "I love you," he said, using words he'd never spoken to anyone before. Lyra smiled as she continued to dissolve into light. "That is precisely what I came to understand. Love, the most powerful force in any galaxy." After she vanished completely, Nathan stood alone on the observatory roof, the memory crystal warm in his hand. He looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, a purple-skinned xenobiologist was perhaps looking back, forever changed by her time on Earth, just as he had been forever changed by her. When he finally activated the memory crystal back in his apartment, it projected not star maps or alien knowledge, but simple images, Lyra laughing in his kitchen. The two of them watching snow fall outside his window. Her face peaceful as she slept beside him, no longer cold. And attached to his refrigerator, he found a note in her elegant handwriting. The universe is vast, but connection bridges all distances. Look up at the stars, Nathan Ellis. I will be watching the same cosmos, carrying the warmth you taught me.